Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyam Astotra Satatsi Simads Divine Grace ISKCON Charya Sila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnavena Ki Jai. Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Si Kahau Si Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Si Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sisi Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Savindavan Dham Ki Jai. Simapa Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Chijaganapuri Dham Ki Jai. Gagamaya Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Simata Tulsi Devi Bhakta Devi Ki Jai. Sama Veda Bhakta Bindu Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to Sisi Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyansat Tato Jaya Mudhirai Nastra Paye Sabhadisu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistiki. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, Text 10. Title of this chapter is Dhruva Maharaj Goes Back to Godhead. Ataya Jataya Gesam Kratubi Buridakshine Dravya Kriya Dibhatanam Kama Kama Phala Pradam Ataya Japapya Gesham Kratubi Buridakshine Dravya Kriya Divatanam Kama Kama Phala Pradam Ataya Jataya Gesham Pratu bi Buridakshine. Dravya Kriya Devatanam. Kama Kama Phala Pradam. Can someone try? Anyone to try? Men? Any more men? Ladies? Anyone else? Any more ladies? Match up with the men? The three men who recited. Thank you. A word for word translation and translation and purport by His Divine Grace, ISKCON founder Acharya. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ata, thereafter, Ayajata, he worshipped. Jagya Isham, the master of sacrifices. Cried to be by sacrificial ceremonies. Buri, great. Dakshine, by charities. Dravya Kriya Devatanam, sacrifices including various paraphernalia, activities and demigods. Kama, the objective. Kamaphala, the result of activities. Pradam, who awards. Translation: as long as he remained at home, Dhruva Maharaj performed many great ceremonial sacrifices in order to please the enjoyer of all sacrifices, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prescribed ceremonial sacrifices are especially meant to please Lord Vishnu, who is the objective of all such sacrifices and who awards the resultant benedictions. Please kindly responsibly repeat. As long as he remained at home, Dhruva Maharaj performed many great ceremonial sacrifices in order to please the enjoyer of all sacrifices, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prescribed ceremonial sacrifices are especially meant to please Lord Vishnu, who is the objective of all such sacrifices, and who awards the resultant benedictions. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 3:9, in the words, chapter 3, text 9, it is said, Jagyatat karmo kamo yatra loka yam kama bandhana. One should act or work only in order to please the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, one becomes entangled in the resultant reactions. According to the 4 divisions of Varna and Ashram, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas are especially advised to perform great ceremonial sacrifices and to distribute their accumulated money very liberally. Dhruva Maharaj, as a king, an ideal Kshatriya, performed many such sacrifices given very liberally in charity. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are supposed to earn their money and accumulate great riches. Sometimes they do it by acting sinfully. Kshatriyas are meant to rule over a country. Dhruva Maharaj, for example, in the cause of ruling, had to fight and kill many yakshas. Such action is necessary for Kshatriyas. A Kshatriya should not A Kshatriya should not be a coward, and he should not be non-violent, like Arjuna was trying to be non-violent, to rule over the country. He has to act violently. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are therefore especially advised to give in charity at least 50%. 50%. 50%. Are we doing this? Devotion to Krishna is very cheap, right? Isn't it? Is it not? It's very easy. I have to take that again. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are therefore especially advised to give in charity at least 50%, at least 50%, could be more than that, of their accumulated wealth, So you may argue, this is not I don't have accumulated wealth. Correct? Okay, good for you. In Bhagavad Gita, it is recommended that even though one enters the renounced order of life, he still cannot give up the performance of Jagya, Dana, and Tapasya. They are never to be given up. Tapasya is meant for the renounced order of life, those who are retired from worldly activities should perform tapasya, penances, and austerities. Those who are in the material world, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, must give charity. Brahmacharis, in the beginning of their lives, should perform different kinds of yagyas. Dhruva Maharaj, as an ideal king, practically emptied his treasury by giving charity. A king is not meant simply to realize taxes, in other words, to get money from the citizens and accumulate wealth to spend in sense gratification. While monarchy has failed ever since kings began to satisfy their personal senses with the taxes accumulated from the citizens. Of course, whether the system is monarchy or democracy, the same corruption is still going on. At the present moment, there are different parties in the democratic government, but everyone is busy trying to keep his post or trying to keep his political party in power. The politicians have very little time to think of the welfare of the citizens, whom they oppress with heavy taxes in the form of income tax, sales tax, and many other taxes. People sometimes have 80 to 90% of their income taken away, and these taxes are lavishly spent for the high salaries drawn by the officers and rulers. Formerly, the taxes accumulated from the citizens were spent for performing great sacrifices as enjoined in the Vedic literature. At the present moment, however, almost all forms of sacrifice are not at all possible. Therefore, it is recommended in the Shastras that people should perform Sankirtan Yajna. Any householder, regardless of his position, can perform this Sankirtan Yajna without expenditure. All the family members can sit down together and simply clap their hands and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Somehow or other, everyone can manage to perform such a yajna and distribute prasad to the people in general. That is quite sufficient for the age of Kali. Krishna consciousness movement, the Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle: chant the Hare Krishna mantra at every moment, as much as possible, both inside and outside of the temple, and as far as possible, distribute prasad. This process can be accelerated with the cooperation of state administrators and those who are producing the country's wealth. Simply by liberal distribution of prasad and Sankirtan, the whole world can become peaceful and prosperous. Generally, in all the material sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literature, there are offerings to the demigods. This demigod worship is especially meant for less intelligent men and women too. Actually, the result of such sacrifice goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Narayan, Lord Krishna, says in Bhagavad Gita 5:29, Bhuktaram Jagya Tapasha. He is actually the enjoyer of all sacrifices. His name, therefore, is Jagya Purusa. That was a German devotee, German brahmachari, formerly in New York. His name is Jagya Purusha. But I think at some point in time he left to Canada for something. Although Dhruva Maharaj was a great devotee and had nothing to do with these sacrifices, to set an example to his people, he performed many sacrifices and gave all his wealth in charity. All his wealth in charity. For as long as he lived as a householder, He never spent a farthing for his sense gratification. In this verse, the word karma phala pradam is very significant. The Lord awards everyone different kinds of karma as the individual living entities desire. He is the super soul present within the heart of everyone, and he is so kind and liberal that he gives everyone full facilities to perform whatever acts one wants. Then the result of the action is also enjoyed by the living entity. Then, if anyone wants to enjoy or lord it over material nature, the Lord gives him full facilities. But he becomes entangled in the resultant reactions. Similarly, if anyone wants to engage himself fully in devotional service, the Lord gives him full facilities, and the devotee enjoys the results. The Lord is therefore known as Karma Phala Prada. Om again at Mirandas, yeah, again to Nansalaka, Saxol Meditum. Yen at his mind, see Gurvain. Sichetam and Obistam, Stafitum, Yenabutale, Swayam Rupam, Kudamayam, the Datiswa, Pedantica. Vancha Kalpatari Bicha, Kripasunam Vyayevicha, Paditana, Pavanambi, Vaishnam, Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadara, Sivasari, Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, welcome everyone to this segment of the morning program. In this text, the understanding is that Dhruva Maharaj, he performed a lot of sacrifices, but he was doing that to set an example for the people he ruled. He was a king. He was a very devotionally charged king. He was imbued with devotion for Lord Krishna. See, it doesn't mean that when you become a ruler, it doesn't mean that a devotee cannot become the vice chancellor of Germany. Acha. Dhruva was a king. He ruled over. Huh? But he was very devoted. A king means governance, presidency, chancellorship. Oh, yeah. So, we should not think that, oh, because I'm a devotee, I don't have to do anything. When I was in I went to the Caribbean before coming here. I went to the Caribbean, one of the countries I visited. The name of that country is Suriname. You know, I met with the Attorney General of the country. She's a woman, a lady. And she's a devotee, initiated devotee. Oh, yeah? So, who told you, who gave you this idea that because you are a devotee, you don't have to do anything? And you know, she does very big type of preaching. All the dignitaries she's been meeting outside of her country, visiting presidents and legal luminaries, she gives them gifts. You know the gift? Package of Bhagavad Gita as it is. In this way, he's spreading the message of Godhead. You know, when you're big up there, it's very easy to preach. Because people see you, that you have the position they have, or maybe more than them, and then you have values they don't have. Oh, that is a pinprick for any materialist. You you have the same qualifications, or maybe even higher than them, and then you have values they don't have. The materialist doesn't want that. They want everybody to be on the same level. I remember I went to South Africa one time, and I was staying in one devotee's home, young couple. Now they moved to Canada. And the wife told me, the wife has a master's in information technology. So she told me at that time she was working for a research institute. And then she told me what happened one time in her office, how she made one devotee in the office. Of course, she didn't even preach, okay? Because preaching is not allowed in the offices. In secular settings. But, all of those other research fellows, they know her as someone in the whole of their firm. She has exceptional values. So, she has the skills they have, she has the degrees they have, but then her life is different. She operates on a higher pedestal. So people respected her in that office like anything. One day, another research fellow in that office, she was a Christian, married to a church founder. The husband had a big church. And this lady came to her to say, teach me yoga. That's how she started teaching her back to yoga, to how to chant Hare Krishna. And then when he gave the time that when it's time for break, other colleagues have gone out for all types of activities, they will go under the shade in their compound and be chanting Hare Krishna. She did not preach. She didn't solicit for her to become a devotee. Just that this lady saw her values. She had the same qualification. They're working in the same office. They are all research fellows. She has values she doesn't have. She was intrigued. She wanted to be like her. So Dhruva Maharaj, he was just a powerful king, and he set an example for his dependents, for members of his constituency, for all of the citizens in his country. And therefore, the whole idea of his sacrifices, as mentioned in the purport, was to set an example. Why? Because whatever a great man does, the common man follows. Whatever standard he sets, the whole world will pursue. That's what Krishna said in the Gita. And so people want to see how the leaders of society are living a life that is full of purpose and devoid of criminal intentions, victimization, and revenge. And the devotee is the epitome of those qualities. Therefore, if the devotee is put in a public office, he could command that respect, that desired respect that is needed for collective work effort, cooperation, and collective growth. What happens, Prabhupada mentions about how the present-day leaders, they are corrupt. We have a word for that in management science. Kleptocracy. Thieves. People, government by thieves. For the thieves, that's all. They put in position. They don't understand anything about karma. So what their intention may not be something to defraud, but they see other people who have done this. And in some countries, if you don't engage in corruption, it's like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, what's wrong with you? And corruption is all pervasive. And sometimes people think America is not corrupt. No, America is corrupt. I'm doing one of my current research works is on some kleptocrats in America and Russia. In America also there are corrupt people. The good thing is that the law enforcement agents, they fish them out, have you prosecuted, and put you in the right place. Even the former president. Even the former president. That's the beauty of America. That's the beauty of America, you know. Yes, corruption is there. But the law enforcement agents, they're sniffing like dogs for the corrupt agents. And they pick you up. Senators, congressmen and women, so many of them. I know of even chief justices who went to jail in America. So yeah, corruption is everywhere. But, you know, the law, the arm of government that deals with the prosecution, the arrest, if they are not corrupt, they can do a lot of job in trying to tame the masses to get down into their senses. And you know, we know the cause of corruption? Tell me, what is the cause of corruption? Greed. What is the cause of greed? Huh? What? Lust. Okay, very good. Mr. Devotee. Who can, anyone else have something to say? Ladies. It's time for ladies now. Yes. What is the cause of corruption? She said it's lust. And that's exactly what Krishna mentions in the Gita. Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Raja Guna Tamobha. Mahasano Mahapapma. The greatest enemy, the sinful enemy of the world, lust. People are lusty for money. Sometimes people think lust means just to pursue sex. There are the other aspects of lust that will drive people crazy. For instance, the pursuit for money, the lust for money. And what is the cause of this? Uncontrolled senses. Adam Tagopi Vishatam Tameshram. You know what? This very Bhagavatam statement is the foundation of the general theory of crime in criminology. The general theory of crime states that all crimes and antisocial behavior, including corruption, are due to low self-control. And Rupa Goswami says, Vasho vegam manasakroda vegam, jiva vegam udara pasta vegam, etam vegam yo visa heta diram, sabram apimam pritivim sasasya. So these things are all there in the Vedic literature. You know, people tap into the Vedic literature. A number of these social scientists and even scientists, they tap into the Vedic literature and they come to refine some concept. And they polish it, they do some research on that, and they say, this is my theory. But, you know, Vyasadeva is a Nobel Prize winner. Krishna is a Nobel Prize winner. Then don't give it to him. See, the knowledge that is in the Vedic literature, you'll be amazed. You tell me one thing we do in Krishna consciousness that is not backed by science. Even the very foundation of this movement, the very foundation of Sankirtan movement, inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is of scientific orientation. It's called Synergy, the model. You could Google on the web. Go to Google Scholar on your internet and, Google Synergy. It's a model which brings to bear that when multiple people come together to do something, the result is always greater than individuals doing that same thing and bringing the results of those individuals together. It's simple. And Lord Chaitanya founded this movement based on science, based on the principle of synergy. He said, congregational chanting, Sankirtan, come together and chant. You could have said, hey, this chanting, this mantra is very good. It could give liberation. Just lock up yourself in your rooms. Lock up yourself in your cupboards and chant perfect existence. He encouraged to come together. Because when we come together to chant, we get more reinforcement than staying by ourselves. So, the whole idea, a Prabhupada sums it up in the purport. Sacrifices are meant to please Lord Vishnu. He is the Jagya Purusa. What is the sacrifice recommended in this age? In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, of all sacrifices, he is japa. Jagyonam, japa jagosmi. So, we should understand what we are doing, what we've been told, the vows we have taken before initiation. We have to chant. That is the sacrifice meant for this age. Age of Kali. You see, people perform, kings perform huge sacrifices. How many of us have the money like the kings? You know how much one horse costs now? 100 horse sacrifices. Aswamedha. We know. A poor guy like me, where will I get even money to buy one horse? Talk of 100 horses. Oh, yeah. So, the process has been simplified for every one of us. And you don't need so much of wealth to do it. The wealth you need is your buccal cavity, your mouth. That's it. And everybody seems to have it. That wealth, everybody seems to have it. Who can say they don't have a mouth? Huh? So, we don't have excuses to perform this jagya, this sacrifice for Vishnu. So Prabhupada also mentioned in the purport that, yeah, the Lord is very liberal. I like that word, liberally. He allows us to do whatever we want to do. But then, the laws of nature, again, Prabhupada used the word stringent. The laws of nature are very stringent. And because the laws of nature are very stringent, we have the liberty to do whatever we want to, whatever we desire. We are not circumscribed at all. Do whatever you want to do with your life. But you're not free to decide to evade the reactions. You can't evade the reactions. You get entangled. According to Prabhupada, he said, you get entangled. And when you have to play pranks with the Bhairanga Shakti, you get entangled. But if the individual dedicates their life to serving the Lord, serving Lord Krishna, Krishna makes provisions for that devotee to become extricated from the shackles of material incoherences, from the ocean of samsara. If you're thrown in the ocean, you need a rescuer. No matter how smart you are in swimming, no matter your expertise in swimming, you need someone to rescue you. A rescue team has to come to the rescue. So the material world is considered to be an ocean of birth and death. And we have been swimming in this ocean of birth and death. But we can't help ourselves. And therefore, we should seek for shelter. Seek for shelter. Seek the guidance of someone, some expert. And that is the guru, Prabhupada, his representatives, the gurus, who help us and channel our energies properly. Otherwise, devotional service could be challenging to us. Now, if somebody chooses not to be rendering service to Krishna, they have a lot of implications in their lives. First of all, it is so difficult to pave through. If even you are engaged in charity, you're not a devotee. Look at the case of King Iriga. King Iriga had good intentions. He gave cows to Brahmins. But there was a little mistake, little oversight. He was punished for it. See, I think that the laws, the Constitution of Germany, if I want to choose, I'll prefer that to the Constitution of the universe. Because in Germany, when you commit a crime and you beg the judge, the magistrate, as a first offender, perhaps you will just be cautioned. And the judge will tell you, okay, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Don't do this again. You're a first offender. And you are remorseful. Laws of nature are not like that. They are stringent. It's not a question of first offender. No first offender business. And you're a child. You're still accountable. There are cases like that in the Vedic literature. So, this world is dicey. You know, the purport here is mentioned, you have to give 50% of your wages. In fact, I remember I was working as a young man, and I encountered the devotees, and then I started reading the books, and then these are the things that really forced me to, you know, to be full time, you know. The laws, the instructions are so rigid. And if I'm doing something, I like to do it to a logical conclusion so that I can get all the full benefits. So I thought, well, the job is not going to work for me. So here is recommended 50% householders. You must be getting plenty of money from your householders, from these donations. Is it? You should post this on the bulletin board. Post this on the bulletin board, okay? So that people know. Rupa Goswami recommends something else. I think 10% or something. But, the point is that we should not use our money all for our own personal enjoyment. That's the point. Give some of the resources, financial resources, to Krishna, so that it could be used in fostering the message of Godhead, in spreading the message of Godhead. We have so many things to do. We have to print books, and maintain the deities, maintain the devotees. So many services are required. So the people who are working, they should make some contribution to the temple so that these spreading of the mission of Lord Chaitanya can be sustained. So essential point is that those who are devotees, they're very lucky. And, if we set a high standard in our temples, we will attract high quality people. See, I like talking about one small temple I used to go to in Calcutta. They have just like maybe about 14 devotees at the time. But all of them are scholarly devotees. The president of the temple is a scientist. He has a PhD in some science field. His wife is an ophthalmologist. They are all young people in 30, 31, 29, something like that. The vice president is a scientist. He has a PhD in some science field. The chief cook is doing his PhD in Sanskrit studies. The chief pujari is a scientist. He has a PhD. And their preaching is very paka, They target high-profile people and professors, high-profile corporate people. So they go to talk to somebody. You can say, you don't have their degrees. They are giving a life to Krishna. So who are you? You feel even sorry that you are not doing what they are doing. Yeah. So in India, they have this. Some of the temples in India, the temples under the care of Rana Maharaj, Chopati Temple and Pune, their own standard is really very, very high. You can't live in those temples if you don't have a first degree. You will not stay in those temples. That's your standard. But it's only those two temples. Because in places like Mayapur, we have, boys from the village, like quasi-illiterate boys. So, but anyone can perform devotional service. That's the point. It doesn't mean that you have gotten so many degrees and you cannot perform devotional service. It doesn't mean that because you don't have a degree, you cannot perform devotional service. No. Anyone. We have the qualification. We are human beings. We have a mouth to chant Krishna's names. And if we help out to distribute these holy names, Prabhupada says the world can become peaceful. If we distribute prasadam, people will become purified. Even those who don't want to chant, they will benefit. Taking prasadam is like a bait, In fisheries, they had one of these strategies in catching big fishes is they use a hook. And you put a bait on it, throw it in the sea or in the river, and then, some foolish fish comes to swallow it. He thinks he's seen something for enjoyment. And then the fisherman draws it. Prasadam is like a bait on a hook. Anybody who eats it is done. Anybody who takes prasadam is done. It's a matter of time. They become purified. So we have to try to distribute prasadam too. And we'll distribute the holy names. Any comments or questions on this point? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the very great class. I wanted to ask regarding yesterday you mentioned this example of Gadadhara Pandit that got initiated from this person that was very rich and had a very opulent residence, yeah? And today we saw this example of Dhruva, and also you mentioned other example of people that have some work or have some kind of position and they take a lot of Lakshmi, but they also give it away a lot. So how to discriminate, or when one should also like have and live in a opulent residence and have some kind of facilities, and when instead of keeping it, or instead of having a opulent house or anything else, they should be just given 50% of salary and that, because in both cases they are pure devotees. It's just
Thank you. That's a nice point. When do we know when do I know what I should be doing? That's why we need a spiritual master to guide us. When Prabhupada came to America, he met all these devotees. And I know the case of Ridananda Swami. He was at Berkeley University, one of the Ivy Leagues in California. And he wanted to drop out from university and follow Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, no, you go on with your we need your skills in the future. Ridananda came to complete the works of Prabhupada, Bhagavatam. So the spiritual master, the expert spiritual master is a very much deeply rooted in talent management. They see what talents we have. They see our potentials. I remember I was a temple president at some point in time. And then my Guru Maharaj instructed me to go and preach to professors. And I saw that job, that service alone is just draining my energy. So I resigned from the presidency. So when I resigned, because at that time I was also engaged in temple construction. So the devotees then wanted me to finish the temple. But Guru has given me some other service that is more important to him than even the temple construction. So then I resigned, and I remember when he came, I think the regional secretary at the time, I was hearing him reporting to the Guru that Vasudev resigned from his president. He was not happy with me that I resigned. And then he just kept quiet. And some devotees also had gone to meet him to ask him that, bring Vasudev back to become president so that he finish our temple on time. And then he didn't say anything to all those devotees who were complaining to him. And then one day after the Mangalati, normally he gives there was some short class, an announcement. So then, after that time, I remember one of the things he said was, asking Vasudev again to become a president is wasting Vasudev's time, wasting Krishna's time, wasting his Guru's time. So everybody just shut their mouth. They don't go and complain again. So the point is, the Guru knows our potentials, and he will facilitate the unleashing of those potentials fully. Yeah, that's the job of the Guru. So we consult with our spiritual masters to see what is best for us. See, when I joined and then after 1 year, took initiation. Second initiation was the second year. So then, during the second initiation, that was just 2 years I stayed in the movement. When he was giving second initiation, he said, I want Vasudev to become a Swami. I want Vasudev to become a sannyasi. Yeah, just 2 years I stayed in the movement. So the Guru knows each and everybody who comes in contact with him how to unleash their potentials. Even a PhD, he forced me to go get a PhD. He asked me to go and preach to professors. And at the time, I was not even having a master's degree or higher degrees or whatever degrees. But then, as Krishna will have it, I like telling this story because sometimes devotees may think that you have to have some type of, a Superman before you do some type of services. No, it's not true. See, Gorakishore's Das Babaji, he didn't even go to school. He's an illiterate. So he asked me to go and preach to professors. And then I started that with publishing in academic journals and going to present papers at academic conferences. So he was totally shocked. And after 3 years, I had my first 25 publications in peer-reviewed journals, that means academic journals, without a PhD, without a master's degree. So he said, hey, Vasudev, just go get a PhD. Yeah. So the Guru knows our potentials and he unleashes accordingly. I mean, it's like Prabhupada. He wanted people to join his movement, but you could have told when Ridananda said he wants to drop out from the college to join Prabhupada, he could have said, yes, I need people, hey, come here. No, he said, no, you be there, finish your studies. Yeah, that's what Prabhupada did. See, earlier, about over a decade ago, we used to have this ISKCON Scholars Conference. So those who are using their academic skills in preaching, we used to meet every year. So that time we met in New Vrindavan in America. Ridananda told us this story. Yeah, so, and the same Ridananda, he became, Harvard scholar. He got his PhD at Harvard University in Sanskrit and Indian studies. And it helped to do the remaining work that Prabhupada left behind. The translation and commentaries of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10 to 12. So, yeah, we need to work in consultations with our respective gurus so that we can maximize the utility of our potentials and know, have a sense of direction where we have to go. Does it make sense? Yes.
You talked about that high standard temple also attracts high quality people, and you mentioned also the high degrees with devotees. So what else constitutes like a high standard in a temple?
Purity of heart. Fundamental thing is that the temple should be set in such a standard. In fact, I remember when we joined, if you don't come to Mangarati, not if you don't come to Mangarati. If you come late 5 minutes to Mangarati, you fast. It was so tough, And if you don't come to Mangarati at all, and if that amounts to like three times, you'll be requested to go and live outside. We used to go out on Harinam every day, early in the morning till in the evening, except on Sundays. So tell me what time you have to chant your 16 rounds. Then we have to wake up early, dead in the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock to chant. But if you survive, you can be a hero anywhere in the world. I'm not saying you should use those standards, but I'm just telling you as about standards. I'm just, telling you my own lived experience. So the standard is based on each temple. Prabhupada wanted us to come from Mangarati. Prabhupada wanted us to rest early so that we can wake up early to chant. Prabhupada wanted us to use the early mornings of the early hours of the morning, the Brahma Muhurta hours, for sadhana. Don't use the Brahma Muhurta hours for washing your clothes. The whole day is there. So if we just follow the standard laid down by Prabhupada, we can attract responsible people. Of course, some temples, like I was mentioning about in Chopati and Pune, they have of course, they have those quality of people that preach to people in the echelons of government and the corporate world. Yes, any other questions? Any questions from the ladies? Oh, yeah? Yes? That's one question, yeah.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. You made so many beautiful points, and one thing that I was thinking is also when you mentioned the analogy that we are in this ocean, like struggling, and sometimes help comes, like we devotee go out, and also in my own life, sometimes there is that attachment to kind of the struggle part, because as you said, it's not that difficult, even because you mentioned, even to get a PhD, like if one wants to do it, it happens. But sometimes there is that attachment to struggle. No, I can't do it, or I have to like struggle to have these high standards. And how can we like not get too mental about the standard and actually try and do it and kind of still push forward?
Sure. Thank you. See, we have to look at our bodies. For instance, we don't look at somebody because they are fasting, they are not eating for 7 days during the Bhishma Panchaka, and then we also want to do it. There's some devotees who don't eat all through. I know my good brother, he doesn't eat. Bhakti Damodar Swami, you know, he's been performing that right from when we were brahmacharis. Okay, so you don't eat. If someone is doing something, don't say you will also do that, because you don't have the same type of bodies. You don't have the same type of physiognomy, the same type of frame of mind and all this stuff. So we're different. Our faces are different. Our priority sequence also varies. Our mental psyche and everything else is different. And so what I can advise is that, you see, in management science, we have what is called stretch goals. Stretch goals means that instead of chanting 16 rounds, and then one day you get really ill, so ill that you become dysfunctional, devotionally speaking. So you could chant your rounds. You could only chant maybe 8 rounds. And you know, someone met me the other day. I don't know which temple is that. In my European talk, someone spoke to me that, you know, they have accumulated the japa of about 64 rounds. So asking how to cope with that. You don't accumulate japa. You don't put your food, your dinner to the next day. You don't put your lunch to the next day. You do all of that no matter how busy you are. You eat, is it not? You take your breakfast, you take your lunch. So when we set stretch goals, it will help us to maintain devotional equilibrium, even when we're really low in spirits, or when we are physically unhealthy. It means we should not base on the minimum. The Prabhupada said 16 rounds is the minimum. So if you set a high standard for yourself, the day that your mind becomes so disturbed, or the day you're really sick, you may chant less, but you fell down. You fell down to that minimum. You fall down to that 16 rounds. Instead of being in anxiety that, oh, I didn't chant my rounds yesterday because of my health. And the other point also is that we should just be appreciative of what we see devotees do, accomplish, and we try to see how we can emulate them. We try to see how we can serve the devotees of the Lord. Mahat Seva Dwara Mahu Vimukti. The secret of success in devotional life is serving the devotees. Lord Krishna says that in the Padma Purana, Lord Krishna says that serving the devotee is, he values it more important than serving him directly. So, when we do that, we will be having prayers without even we knowing, devotees wishing us well. And then that gives us emotional courage. That gives us inner strength. That gives us firm, fixated determination, resolute determination to forge ahead despite any challenges we may face. Otherwise, we may desire to leverage our consciousness or leverage our sadhana, and then the body is too weak. The mind is willing, the body is too weak. Or the mind is just being obstinate and creating so much of impossibility conceptualization in the mind. You can't do this. No, you cannot do this. No, you cannot do this. Prabhupada says that we should make our plans and hang it like a garland on Krishna. We should allow Krishna to give the final verdict. But we should strategize. We should, generate ideas and see how we can implement those ideas to facilitate our expedited growth in devotional service. We should also get involved in networking. And Rupa Goswami mentions about confidence. We should have some confidence. Something is bothering us, we should have somebody in our lives that we could share with. If we are so happy, we get excited, we could have somebody in our life that we could share with. Because when we have some good deeds or good accomplishments, when we share with somebody, the excitement is increased. If we are traumatized and we share that traumatic experience with somebody, the effect is reduced almost to half. This is the psychology of counseling. So we should not live our lives like isolated persons. We live in the communities. We should do some devotional networking. We should create some relationship. We should create good friendship in our communities. And in that way, we'll be happy. See, I like telling this story. There's a boy I met in Portland, in America. And then we went for a home program. After the program, normally I go around discussing with people one-to-one. So I was speaking with this boy, young man, and he's working in some factory or something. So he said that he was a brahmachari at one of the temples in New York. I said, so why did you leave? He said he left because he had no friend. He left because he had no friend. He was feeling isolated. He was feeling alone. So the older ones, the senior ones, they should see how they're taking care of the younger ones. Yeah, we should not create a papal bull of demarcation in our communities. People will feel isolated and they may not be able to stay for a long time. Yeah. So the motivation comes when we create some friendly relationships. The impetus comes when we create a loving environment. So Krishna's devotional service is Susukam Abhya. Is sustainably enjoyable. But we have to create that enabling environment. Otherwise, people may come. Even in the heavenly planets, people fall down, Even on Brahma Jyoti, people fall down, Their piety is expired and then they fall down. So we don't allow people to just hang around, and not energize them with our love, devotional love. Okay? Okay, it's already past 9. We'd like to adjourn this meeting. In the absence of any other questions, and who supports the adjournment? Move. Anybody supporting the adjournment? Move. Yes, thank you. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.